And I knew that you could, with very simple workouts, get really great results with minimal time and equipment. I truly believe is missing for most people is just consistency. Well, I feel like if there's a leaderboard, people expect me to use the heavier weight, so I have to use it. And so we got rid of our leaderboard completely.
Miranda, welcome to the Jedburgh podcast.
Welcome! This is so awesome. This truck is amazing. Is it? I mean, do you call it a truck? Is it a Jeep?
We call it a truck. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a Dodge. So we could, I guess, because it's a Dodge, we kind of could call it a Jeep.
This is awesome.
But like,
I accidentally call it
Dodge.
a Jeep a lot.
My
Yeah.
kids would love this.
So what we have learned, because every time you bring this thing out, you learn something new.
Okay.
So this is the second or third time that we've had the full activate, because they just got it.
Oh, okay.
So it what I found in this environment was that the kids absolutely love it.
They want it. They think
Absolutely.
That's a place for them to hang out and play.
So one of them has even been so kind as to turn my ignition switch over there, which I realized had been on for quite a long time. And I'm 99% sure the battery's going to be dead when I have to go move this thing later today. But these guys right here next to us in Uncharted have
perfect.
volunteered
Yes.
to jumpstart it with some of their equipment. But I told them they can only jumpstart if I can run over one of their bags. So they've agreed to do that.
Run over one of their bags?
Yeah, they said their stuff's indestructible.
Oh, right.
So
Hopefully not like in Napoleon Dynamite with the Tupperware.
so let's see. But we're here. Okay, so Sunday, it's the last day. We're in the final couple of hours. Appreciate you sitting down with us. I wanted to have you on last year, and I think everything got lost in the chaos. And I think
I actually wasn't here last
Oh.
year.
You guys were here, but you weren't here.
I was supposed to be here, but we had my child was 7 weeks old.
Oh, all right.
So
Well, good excuse.
I told them we were going to come, and my husband was like, don't listen to her. We're definitely not going to go. She thinks she's going to travel with the brand new baby. We're not going to go. So he told them on the back end. But yeah, our team was here. Just I personally wasn't here.
All right, good. Now I don't feel so bad. But we got in the background over here, they're announcing the finalists. So they've whittled the field down here to the top. I think they're going top 8 on each side.
Yes.
They got them up on the stage, so anyone on the YouTube version is going to be able to see that. And then we're going to get into some
Are we
single.
live right now?
We're not live.
I was gonna say.
No,
We're live on
We're live here.
video.
We're live here in the event.
Okay.
But we're not. We'll
You got to warn me about these
Yeah,
things.
no, we'll push it out later. And they're gonna go through I think it's like 4 rounds of all different events.
I mean,
to
I heard
name the
last year they were
winners.
like the wrestling and stuff, which I'm super pumped about.
The final event,
It's not my
and I
thing.
don't
I would
think many
do
of them
terribly
understand,
at
but
that.
right behind Jessie over here, I've noticed they have taken sandbags and created a ring. And what I'll tell you is that ring last year,
Yep, that's
there
right.
was some abuse going on
I heard
in that
our
ring
staff
last
was
year.
sending us videos back home. So I'm
So
excited
we're gonna.
about that.
So I think we got a front row seat to a lot of the action right here, and we're looking forward to it over the next couple of years. But we're going to talk about street parking first.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about how we continue to achieve fitness goals, regardless of who we are, where we are, what we're doing, and to me, it's about removing the excuses.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Why? I know you and your husband Julian. You started this a couple of years ago. It's blown up,
Yeah.
absolutely blown up. But when you look back to those days, those early days as CrossFit athletes yourselves, what was the opportunity that you saw?
So honestly, we didn't look at it so much as an opportunity. We didn't come into street parking trying to grow like a big business or anything like that. I had traveled for 8 years on the CrossFit seminar team and while I was training to compete at the games, I was working out in hotel gyms a lot. So I had a belief and I knew that you could, with very simple workouts, get really great results with minimal time and equipment. And my husband, who was also training for the games, lived in a very busy area of LA, which I know Jessie knows all about. And so sometimes it wasn't worth it for him to drive all the way to the affiliate that he trained. So he would work out at home. And he had some stuff in his garage, a barbell and some bumpers, then like a box, like very simple setup. And he would do a lot of workouts while he was training that way too. So we came into it with this belief of like, you can do a lot with a very little and see great results. We should share some of these workouts. I've always been very like entrepreneurial minded, so I was like, we should start an Instagram page and just share some of these simple workouts for people who maybe they live too far from a CrossFit gym, or maybe they travel a lot, or maybe whatever. We didn't have parents in mind at all because we didn't have kids at all when we started. And we just started sharing them, and the market was a lot bigger than we realized. And it was like it's been a runaway train since then. And so since then we've added a lot more. We have a big team now, and we do, meetups and events and things like that. But it was really just like showing people from high level athletes and coaches, like, hey, we think that these workouts are good enough. This is what we do when we're traveling or we're too busy, to give people permission to take that on and do that as well in their own lives.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people who will travel and be like, oh, I don't have any of my stuff with me. I can't work out.
I gotta find a gym.
I can't, or no, like, I can't work out while I'm traveling. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, I would work out a lot of the times in the hotel room itself with just nothing. Or I'm like jumping over the like little coffee table or whatever,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I have to do it.
Such a good idea.
I like that, actually. Yeah. I have to do so many of my workouts just on set between shots.
Yeah.
And like, those are awkward because I have to be kind of subtle and unintrusive in other people's workspace.
Right.
But yeah, I get a lot done during a workday.
But a little space. Yeah, and the thing, what I truly believe is missing for most people is just consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, here the other day we were setting up. We didn't, want to get a lot of equipment out. We needed to do something really quickly. So we were like, all right, 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 100 burpees, and that's it. And what most people will be like, well, that's not enough. That's not good enough. I got to go follow this perfectly specific plan that I'm on, and so they won't do anything. And so more often than not, they're going sometimes a week where they're not working out, or 3 days where it's like, you could do 100 burpees really quick, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. It took like 7 minutes or something like that. And then that's going to deliver more if you're consistent with that than 2 weeks I'm on it completely, 1 week I'm off. 2 months I'm on it completely, 3 months I'm off. And I think it's just a mindset shift that people need, that fitness is a cumulative thing. It's not all at once and then nothing and then all at once. You're going to gain more over time. It's like saving money. You put $10 in every day. Eventually that's going to be more than if every couple months you put $200 in, you know what I mean? Yeah. And people just, I think, it's a shift that needs to happen, I think, in the fitness industry in general.
I think we put it on a pedestal too many times. Every day you wake up and you're like, okay, I got to work out today, but it's got to be, if it's got to be at this time, and I've got to be ready, and I have to have eaten at a certain time, and then I've got to, body, I need to possibly stretch before, and that's going to take a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden, life gets in the way, and then it's 7 o'clock at night.
Yes.
Kids are screaming.
Yes.
You realize I didn't get it done.
Yeah.
And then you think back and go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
I had 10 minutes at some point. I had 15 minutes at some point. I don't need all this equipment. I don't need to prepare myself to work out.
Yeah, and one of the things that we believe too is there's like seasons and stages for it. So I'm a big fan of like the Huberman podcast, for example, and he'll go on there and the protocols and the schedule and like all this stuff, and I'm like, great, Andrew, like you don't have kids, and the truth is all of it's fantastic information, and there is truth to all of it, but it's so overwhelming when you're just like, okay, I need these supplements, and I got to do ice bath at this specific temperature for this many minutes per week, or it's not beneficial and this and that. And I think all of that can be true. If you're in the right season or stage to do all of it, great. But if your season and stage is like, I pop on the cold shower for a minute, when I'm in there, and we have members that will do burpees and air squats while their kids are in the bathtub sometimes, because that's the only time that it happened that day. Again, like the cumulative effort of just showing up and doing whatever your best is your best, and you shouldn't compare it to where you were before necessarily, or where you might be in the future, or where this athlete is, or that fitness influencer is, or what you heard on the Huberman podcast. Just do the best with the information that you have. Because again, that is going to deliver more results than just being like, well, I got to wait until life aligns perfectly, because it's probably never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sometimes will get anxious because I'm like, I only have 2 hours. I don't know if I'll have enough time to do the workout. And the policy is just
I want 2 hours to work out. That sounds great.
My life revolves around it.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, I just have to remind myself, okay, well, whether you have time to finish it or not, just start and do the first exercise.
Do as much of it as you can.
Yeah. You may get exhausted. You may get a call and have to suddenly leave and everything is done. But just just start and do something.
And the amount, we always say, don't mistake duration for effort.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will go and they'll be like, oh yeah, I worked out for 2 hours today. It's like, but what did you, like, come on. Like, what were you doing? You were scrolling your phone. I'm not saying that's what you were doing.
Sometimes.
You're scrolling your phone, or you're like, yeah, I did this part A, B, and C. And it's like, well, what if you just did part B and you went 100% effort? So people often in the fitness industry mistake duration for effort. Mm-hmm. And for us, it's like, as long as you're giving 100% to whatever it is you're doing, even if it's 5 minutes of air squats and push-ups, it's great. Just be consistent with it. So
I've done a 7-minute workout that we did in the CrossFit level 1 course.
That was hard.
And I was rocked for a week.
Yes.
I worked out with Jason Khalipa.
Yes.
After he came. So we went to San Francisco, had him on, told his story, talked about NC Fit, and then him and I did very simple 6 minutes, okay, and it was like 6 burpees, 6 wall ball shots, and then for 6 minutes, just rotate between them. Yeah. And I was a disaster.
Yes.
After.
So Jason, speaking of Jason, so we competed on the games team together. And that group of people is also where I formed a lot of my beliefs, because back then it was when athletes and teams started to have like these guru coaches, right? Which is like such a thing in the CrossFit space. Like, what team are you on? Are you Mayhem? Are you Comp Train? Are you this or that? And we came together. It was myself, Jason, Molly Vollmer, Pat Barber, and Jen Cadmus, and Alex Rowland were our team. And we trained with Neil Maddox and Garrett Fisher and a couple other people. And I'm not kidding. We had no coach for the most part. We did closer to the games to practice the events and stuff. But this group came together. Every day we had no idea what we were going to do. We would come and be like, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And we would just make something up and go for it and put 100% into it. There was not this like laid out percentages, programming. It was just a group of people that were there to work hard, and we would wreck ourselves. And I do think that that's why we did so well when we competed together, was because we were so used to what, in CrossFit, it's like unknown. You're going to find out the workout right before. And that was how we trained every day.
Right.
And so I think people overthink, like, I need this like program and this and that. And I think you have to be at a certain level to even have that be necessary. You need consistency before percentages and this like perfectly laid out program even matter at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like so much of what you should do today depends on how you feel today.
Yes.
Not always, but like for my training, if I have it written down that today's supposed to be a super hard day and I am a disaster from yesterday, well, I shouldn't be doing that super hard day. I'm not going to be able to do it, and it's discouraging. So just knowing that I can do a lighter workout today, or if it's scheduled to be a light workout and I have the most energy I've had in a month. Yeah. Do the hard one today.
And that's one of the things that we've built into our culture too that I think is a little bit different from CrossFit in general, is we got rid of our leaderboard. And the reason for that, a couple reasons. One of the reasons is like what you're talking about. My husband and I obviously come from competing, and when somebody's been competitive, or you're just, even if you're just competitive by nature, if you're feeling like not 100% and you see the workout, people with that personality, they won't work out. Because they'll be like, well, I'm not going to be able to beat so-and-so, or I'm not going to be able to get this time, so I'm just not going to do it. And
maybe
it's
I'll
like,
do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Feel better tomorrow.
Or it might be, normally we have like the extra challenge weight, where it's like for people who are a little bit stronger or whatever. Normally, maybe every day I use extra challenge, but I'm wrecked. Well, I feel like if there's a leaderboard, people expect me to use the heavier weight, so I have to use it. And so we got rid of our leaderboard completely. And people will say, like, I'm much more consistent, I'm much less injured and everything. We still give goal times where it's like, hey, this workout should take between 5 and 10 minutes. And so they have an idea of the intensity level that we're looking for. And we have members who share their scores with each other for sure. But there's not this like pressure to perform, where they're making smarter decisions about the weight that they're going to use, or the version that they're going to do, and even how hard they go that day in the workout.
I think that's so important, because especially for people who are naturally competitive and ambitious,
it's hard to turn it off.
It's hard to tone it down.
Yeah.
And supporting people in that way is really important.
The I was just looking at them over here. They're getting ready to
They
start
can't turn
the
it
first
down. They
event.
got to go for it.
Yeah,
Today is the day
they're all
that you're
about.
going
Like,
hard.
this is all about competition here. So they got everybody ready. I see everybody swinging their arms to loosen their shoulders because I think they're about to hold those sandbags up above their head until failure.
Until they're the last one standing, right?
Yeah, that's how
yeah.
they had that event last year, and that was impressive.
I saw some of the footage from that last year, actually. Yeah.
And it looks absolutely incredibly painful.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about street parking that I want to bring up is it's 100% virtual.
Yes. I would say, well, it's like 90% virtual. The members are all, it's an online program, but as you saw, like this weekend, we have when we do meetups, and we encourage our members to do local meetups in their areas. This year we're doing a tour, so there's like 7 stops. Usually every year we've had like 1 or 2 bigger meetups where we get, 500-600 people that come out and do it. But for the most part,
you won here. You took you beat everybody here for the amount of people that could fit in that
that was
enclosed
cool
area.
yesterday, yes.
You couldn't see the grass. You absolutely couldn't see the grass. So that was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they just get really excited to meet. So street parking in the wild is like we've got our van over there with that branding and everything on it. It's because they'll be on the lookout for each other. And so we'll see people that are like, oh, I saw somebody in Costco today, or I saw a sticker on someone's car, or at my kid's soccer game, I saw another. And so they wear their gear everywhere, especially if they're going to like Disney World, Disneyland, the airport, anything. They make sure the patch is on their backpack because they're just hoping to get recognized and see each other, and they get really amped about it. And so when we have these meetups, they come from all over the place to make sure that they get a chance to meet other street parking members, because they are so isolated otherwise.
Do they ever, like, if you run into someone else who has the shirt at the airport, do they like
it's
work out
selfies
together?
And they're like yelling at each other?
Do they do the workout at the airport?
I don't know that I've ever seen like 2 people that just met at the airport. I've seen our members working out at the airport,
Right.
but I don't know if it's like a meetup workout has ever happened inside the airport.
That would be funny. I have an airplane workout that I can do in my seat. It's mostly unintrusive, but it'd be so fun to share that on a podcast.
That would be great.
As you said I have an airplane workout, I literally thought to myself, if we ever have to go anywhere together on an airplane, I'm not sitting next to you.
I've definitely gone to like on international flights. I've gone to, because those planes are bigger. I've gone to the back and like done like some full yoga situations are happening back there, and I don't even care. So I'm just like the weird fitness lady where everybody else is asleep because they've taken like their sleeping pills and doused it with like 2 bottles of wine.
It's the routine. You got to have like
And I
one
just
drink
can't
before you get on the plane.
imagine how you feel when you
When
wake
would
up
you-
from that. That sounds terrible to me.
I'm asleep before we take off.
Wow.
I can't do it.
Well, talk about the app for a bit, because
Okay.
a lot of it's app based, and so you started by posting everything on social media, and that's how people were getting the
Yes.
workouts, and that's transitioned into the building of the app.
Yes. So at first, I feel like we should be like with our hands over our hearts for this song right now.
Oh, right.
Do we need a?
No, I think
Okay,
they're
we're
okay.
good. Okay, I don't want to be un-American
No,
over
no.
here. The app. Okay, yeah. At first we were using Wodify because, again, like we were like, hey, maybe we'll have 100 members to help us pay our California utility bills. And so I was used to Wodify. We used Wodify at NorCal CrossFit, and at CrossFit Chalk actually was where we trained sometimes before we moved to Irvine.
We had a meet on.
Yeah.
the other day.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. I did see him here, and so we used Wodify for the first almost 5 years.
Yeah.
But one of our members who was an app developer reached out and was like, hey, I think I can make something for you. And he did. It took like 2 years for him to build it. But now we have an app that's more ours. Again, like we didn't want the leaderboard. We wanted some other things. But now on the app today, there's 3 versions of the daily workout. And those 3 versions are based on the equipment that you have. So let's say it's burpees and clean and jerks. It'll show you a version where it's dumbbell version, barbell version, and then the 3rd version is if you have more than that. So in that example, it might show you the sandbag version. If it's got running in it, the 3rd version would show you the bike and the row options. So it's based on equipment. It's not levels, and that's where we want to explain to people like, hey, the dumbbell version is not easier. It's just different.
What's available.
Yes.
Yeah.
The sandbag version is not easier. It's just use what you have. And then we do have a 4th version of the workout every day that is for beginners. So we take that burpee, clean and jerk, and maybe make it lower the burpee number, maybe make it an AMRAP so they know how long they're in it for, and so we're not, they're not stuck in it for 30, 45 minutes, and maybe it's a hang clean and then some push presses, and so we just simplify it, and we call it the shift version, and if you're fit, the shift version ends up being worse because you can just keep moving. It's like that 6 and 6 workout that you were talking about. And a lot of times people will use that because they're newer, they're returning from injury, like our pregnant members will use that. But then members, when they're wrecked, they're like, I'm just doing shift today. Like, I got to just go for the shift to get something in.
Right.
So, and then we have like 40 plus extra programs. We've got 3 sandbag programs. We've got a rucking program. We've got a 5K program and a half marathon program. We've got like bodybuilding type stuff. Because consistency means that sometimes you need to just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And maybe during the summertime, you're like, I'm just going to do the rucking program for the next couple months because I'm traveling and I know I can go walk around, or I'm injured, like my shoulder's messed up, but I know I can still do the rucking program. Or maybe you are into whatever you're into at the time. And I feel like fitness goes in stages and seasons like that.
Right.
And so we try to provide stuff for people when it comes to that.
Nice.
Talk about the growth.
Yeah.
Because I've had, Jessie and I've had probably 3 or 4 people who've come in here over the last couple of days and have talked about the explosive growth that you've had.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows you're not hiding it.
Okay. Yeah, so it's so funny because whenever we tell people, like on airplanes or in coffee shops or whatever, what it is that we do, they're like, oh, you started in 2020? And we're like, no. We started in 2016. The first month we had 700 members join. And that was largely, to be honest, because I had a big following from competing in CrossFit, and Julian had a following from competing in CrossFit. But what I've known, because I owned a gym before and I've been a trainer for a long time before that, you can get people to sign up. That's the easy part. The more difficult part is getting them to stay and having them have such a good experience that they bring other people in. And so we took it, 700 was much more than we expected. We took it very seriously. And I was working for a supplement company called Progenics at the time as their athlete manager. My husband was still training for the games. We weren't married yet. We just moved in together and just found out we were pregnant when all of this was happening, which was not planned, by the way. And like his mom was moving in with us, who I just met. Like it was like very
chaotic
timing. Yes. But we were like, oh man, like, and we didn't. When we had 700 people, we were like, oh my gosh, we crushed it. Like we're so successful. We were like, oh shoot, these people are all expecting us to like deliver now. And so we took it very seriously. And community was a big part of our mission from the very beginning. I owned a CrossFit gym for 3 years in Salt Lake City, Utah. And so I was like, and it had the tightest knit community. This was like 2008 to 2011. And I was like, what did we do there that made it so tight knit? And it was just like celebrating people's birthdays and like knowing them and making sure that they're showing up and all this. So like, how can we do that with this community? And so we, interacted with our members way more than I think most games athletes who create online programs are willing to do. To be honest, that's the truth. We were talking with them all the time. Anytime someone would use the hashtag street parking, we were commenting back on it, just the two of us. Any Facebook posts we were commenting on, we were reposting our members, making it more about them than it is about us, which is also rare. And that just continued to grow. And when we moved to Washington, which is where we live now, because California, we were like, we got to get out of this tax bracket.
Fair.
We moved to Washington and started hiring staff. We have like 20 staff now, in-house, and then like 50 total with contractors and everything. But in 2020, we were already at like 15,000 plus, somewhere around there, members when the pandemic happened. The cool thing is that when the pandemic happened, we didn't have to change anything.
Right.
And the brand was already known in the CrossFit community for being someone that you could trust with programming that's going to be legit with just dumbbells. And so gym owners were like, join street parking, do street parking. We were putting out a lot of free content at that time to try to help out the situation. Never with the intention, and to this day, it's never the intention to take people out of their gyms. If you have a great gym community and you love it and you can afford it, that's awesome, and you should go participate in that. And it's the right stage of your life to like be able to go there consistently. But there's a lot of people that don't have that can't afford it or live too far or whatever. So it's continued to grow, and I think it's just mostly because of what I talked about yesterday in the talk that I gave here at Jack's. Not because of Julian and I, but because the members are so supportive of one another and they share their real lives. And it's this permission, again, like members will be like, their kids like crying in the background or like throwing stuff at them while they're doing their workout, and they'll post that. And then we repost it. It's like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's enough. And yeah, it's frustrating, but also it's good enough. People who look like them, people who are doing, their workouts in their apartment complex, like patio, it's like, that's awesome. And so I think it's just grown because it's given people permission to like count it almost, you know what I mean? So
that's working out at home. I mean, that's what it looks like.
Yes.
I mean, the amount of times that
real,
my son will come over and I'll be doing, on my back, and he jumps on my stomach, or I'm doing push-ups and he gets on my back. I mean, there was a CrossFit workout I posted it on Instagram a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago, and it was the WOD was weighted push-ups, and my son kept jumping on me, and I was like, it was just me and him home, and I was like, you know what, screw this, like I can't put the weight on my back myself anyway, so I'm like, Adrian, come here. And so every time I got on the ground, I was laid on the ground, I was like, climb on my back. He climbed on my back, I did my sets, I'm like, okay, get off, and we did that the 5 sets. But
nice.
that's what it looks like.
Too, is it's like again, where you're talking about like people need to like shift like what it needs to look like. For example, a workout that has like farmer carries. I think there was a workout recently, or not recently, but within the last year, that had like an overhead carry, and my young baby like needed to be held at the time. And it's like, but I'm supposed to be doing this overhead carry or whatever. So I like grabbed him. I'm carrying him in one arm and holding the dumbbell in one arm, and I'm doing these carries. And it's reminding like people, what are you training for? Unless you're training for something specific, your kids running around and jumping on you, like it's a harder workout, honestly. And it's like you're doing it for them.
Right.
So like not allowing them to be a part of it is actually kind of weird if you think about it. And it's like, is it really going to make a difference if you stop for 30 seconds and tie your kid's shoe? And that's, again, one of the reasons that we took away the leaderboard, because people be like, I beat you. And it's like, you don't know what that lady did and how many times she got interrupted during her workout or whatever. Yeah. You don't know if her kid was crying the whole time. And so we wanted to take that out and just be like, hey, if that happens, stop. Give the kid the snack and then go back to it, and it's fine. And oftentimes, I mean, we had some parents today that he was like doing the sandbag thing while holding his baby, and it's like, that's harder. But it's training you for what you're actually training for, which is your real life, and that's your real life. So do it.
Absolutely. What's next for the company?
So we're on this tour right now. This is official stop number 2. We're doing the Street Parking in the Wild tour. We started in LA. We did a Tough Mudder. And then Caitlin, it's not myself and my husband driving it because we got to go home and take care of our kids. But one of our staff members, Caitlin, she's been driving through the country. She's been doing small little local meetups on the way. Came here. She's going to the Spartan race in Texas next month. And then we're back at Dave Castro's ranch for an event we call Fitness Freedom, which is really cool. It's smaller scale than this. It's Street Parking members only, but it's 2 days of just like fitness and festival and hanging out. Then she'll drive back to West Virginia, where we're doing this like really cool camp, like family summer camp type situation. We're gonna go to the games, and then back, and we'll do the Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run also.
Oh, nice.
Ultimate Hawaiian Trail Run?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
You've never heard of it? You got to look it up. I'll show you afterwards. It's a really cool, and it raises money for the kids on Kauai to have a place to go after school. It's awesome. We're starting to do some stuff with kids programming now because, I mean, it's a big part of our community. Yeah, and the kids are already, parents are like, hey, my kids did the vault with me, which is one of our workouts every week. And so we're going to provide some tools for parents to help them to introduce fitness for their kids in a great way. We just hired a coach for that. We're starting to do some stuff with like corporate memberships. So we've got some like firehouses but even like businesses, corporations are always looking for ways to help their staff connect, but also to be healthier and to have like better vibes. And so those are the newer things that we're doing, but Julian and I, we've never been like, we're going to have this many members by 2025 or, we don't measure success that way. We want to help as many people as we can, and we never want to make decisions based on some arbitrary number that we're trying to hit, because then you start doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's true. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And so we just try to anything that we get involved in, we try to do the best that we can with it.
Awesome. Well, Miranda, as we close out, we're all going to go over there and see what's happening.
We got to go watch it.
All right. The Jedburghs in World War II had to do 3 things every day to be successful.
Okay.
They had to be able to shoot, they had to be able to move, and they had to be able to communicate. Those are their habits, foundations, you could call them. If they did these things with the utmost precision, then they could focus their attention on more complex challenges that came their way. What are the 3 things that you do every day to be successful in your world?
Oh, man. That's a great question. I feel like I'm so chaotic as a person. You know, for me, I'll just give you the things that are most important.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're necessarily what makes me the most successful, but I move every day, obviously. I spend focused quality time with my family every day where I'm not distracted by anything else. And I'm not saying that it's a long period of time every day, but there is time every day. And I try to write down something daily that was either something positive that happened, a memory that I want to remember, or something that I'm grateful for before I go to bed at night.
Nice.
Move, spend focused quality time with the family, and write down something positive.
Yes.
Love it.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for spending
Let's
some
go
time
check
with
out
us.
what's going on over
Yeah,
here.
we got a big couple of hours coming up. The carnage is about to start. Wish you the best of luck, and
Thank
we'll see
you.
you here next year.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you for coming.
Awesome.
American Jedburghs went out to form the foundation of the United States Special Forces and the Special Activities Directorate of the Central Intelligence Agency. Thanks for listening to the Jedburgh Podcast. I'm your creator and host, Fran Racioppi. Join us next week for a new episode on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube for full episodes, highlights, and other behind-the-scenes content. If you like what you heard, give us a like and leave a review. Follow me, Fran Racioppi, Talent War Group, and our sponsor Jersey Mike Subs on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Send your comments and inquiries to media@talentwargroup.com. As a former member of Special Forces, the Jedburgh Podcast donates a percentage of all proceeds to the Green Beret Foundation, supporting America's Special Forces and their families. Thanks for joining us on this episode. How you prepare today determines success tomorrow.